Welcome to Straight Talk and Retirement, your no-hype source for financial advice in making informed choices about your retirement planning. Get on the phone to talk today at 314-931-5877 or text your question to 84126.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Now, here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, hello, St. Louis, and welcome to Straight Talk on Retirement, your live and local St. Louis's favorite financial call-in show. I'm Jeff Lapidus, president of JBL Financial Services. Our offices are located in beautiful, quickly warming downtown Olivet, Missouri. I am a 40-plus year veteran of the financial services area, a fee-based financial planner and wealth manager. And I'm joined by my incredibly capable crew. My oldest prodigal daughter, Aaron Lapidus, who also is a fee-based financial planner, but a certified financial planner, as well as wealth manager. And her husband, my favorite son-in-law, my only son-in-law, Rob Markham, our life insurance and fixed annuity sales specialist.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I got him this morning, didn't I?
Yeah, that's my favorite. We make him laugh. We help our clients make smart choices about their money. The way we do that is by designing a game plan. A real game plan, a step-by-step strategy that has several goals in mind.
First is to preserve, protect, and prudently grow the assets our clients have taken their entire lifetimes to accumulate.
Second is to deliver a reliable stream of income, one you can count on, so you can do all the things you'd like to do in retirement.
Third is cost-effectively addressing their health care needs, like helping individuals enroll in Medicare and choosing the right plan to couple with their Medicare coverage.
And then when they're done enjoying their assets during their lifetime, we show them how to pass them on to the people they love, whether it's their spouses or children, grandchildren, churches or charities, whoever it might be, with Uncle Sam or the tax courts taking a big bite out of their money. And as their wealth managers, Aaron, Rob, and I watch their money every single day to make sure they're staying on track. And that's why they call us retirement coaches. Gang, again, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to everybody out in Radio Land. Thanks so much for taking your time and tuning into our show. As a reminder, all of our clients are folks like you. They're our listeners. They're 55 and older. They would like to retire, or they're already retired. And as Aaron mentioned, our goal is to create a game plan for them so they can have a fun, financially successful, and hopefully worry-free retirement. And just as a reminder, there are lots of ways that you can keep in touch with us during the week.
That's right. Log on to our website, jblfinancial.com. In the upper right-hand corner, you can click on the Contact Us button, request a coaching session, financial, Medicare, or both. Ask us a question during the show. We'll try to get to it live on the air. On the lower left-hand side of the screen is a pop-up box that appears. It says sign up for our monthly newsletter. We do keep that archived on the website every single month for you, but we also send it out by email once a month if you sign up to receive it. Rob, let us know what is on our April newsletter, rather.
We got some great articles there. The first one being rising enrollment in Medicare Advantage plans. The percentage of Medicare beneficiaries enrolled in Medicare Advantage plans has risen substantially since 2005. About half of all Medicare beneficiaries are projected to be enrolled in an Advantage plan this year. And if you've listened to the show for any length of time, you know that this isn't surprising given how much Medicare Advantage plans are offering these days, from the over-the-counter benefits, the copay cards, the fitness allowance, the hearing aids, the dental benefits. More and more Medicare enrollees are taking advantage of the Advantage plans.
I love this article because recently we've had this onslaught of articles from other parts of the country talking about how Medicare Advantage plans are losing hospital enrollment, and that people are having difficulty finding providers in these Medicare Advantage plans. One of the benefits of living in the Missouri and Illinois area is that our Medicare Advantage plans have had the opportunity to establish excellent contracts with almost all of the hospital systems, even to the point where Essence, who we don't talk about very often, that's a regional provider, has added Mercy into their, or SSM rather, into their network as of last year, which is really exponentially expanded their provider network. So I would say that, as in many things, it's very important to be sure that you're reading an article or you're consuming information that's specific to your area. So if you're in New York or California, things could be a little bit different. If you're in a rural area, unfortunately, those Medicare Advantage plans may not have expanded to encompass your county. But, about 10 years ago, the Medicare Advantage plans were not down in Osage Beach, which is the Ozarks, and now almost every single Medicare Advantage plan has an offering there. So sometimes it just takes a little bit of time to reach those areas. I had an email last week come through.
Oh boy.
Well, it just caught me a little off guard because we do talk quite a bit about Medicare Advantage, and I think that's because most people don't know about Medicare Advantage. You spend your entire working career with your group health insurance, or if you own your own business, maybe individual health insurance. So maybe you are focused on what your parents had, which most likely was a supplement, because Medicare Advantage didn't become popular until about 12, 15 years ago, even though they've been around since the Reagan administration. And we can't cover every single issue both on the supplement and Medicare Advantage plan side every show, but we do like to pose options for people. And we would say that it's very important that you sit down with a professional like Frank in our office when you're making this decision. But we just like to bring information to people that maybe they hadn't thought of in the past or hadn't heard about because they're working specifically with a broker that only sells supplements. So you have to have special licensing to sell the Medicare Advantage plans every single year.
What did the email say?
It just said that we were hawking Medicare Advantage for our own gain. And my response was just that because we sell enough supplemental plans, supplements and Medicare Advantage plans pay us the exact same amount. So really our ultimate goal is that our clients are happy with the product they've chosen, because ultimately that has less work for us. If you're happy, if the plan works the way we've described it will work and the way you need it to work for you, then most likely we only hear from you once a year, which of course we'd love to hear from you more frequently, but certainly not because you're having an issue.
Well, it's nice because since the plans do pay similar compensation, it's like being Baskin and Robbins. You pick the flavor, we're happy to scoop. I mean, that's what we do.
And really, we feel like this is a supplemental service to mainly our financial advisory clients. Obviously, we help individuals that we don't work with on the financial side of things to make their Medicare elections if they'd like to work with us. But really, we're just trying to put together a retirement game plan, and obviously your health care is an important component of that. I remember reading a statistic that it's the number 2 issue that individuals feel is a problem when retiring. Do I have enough money, and will I have enough to afford my health insurance my health care expenses?
Sounds good. Rob, I know we've got a couple of other interesting articles also in this issue, right?
We do. Our next one being understanding the different types of life insurance. For many people, life insurance is the cornerstone of their financial game plan, especially when they're just starting their working careers, buying their first homes, starting their families. This is a great article highlighting the different types of life insurance most commonly sold. And our next article, skepticism towards higher education rises. There has been a notable shift in public opinion over the last 10 years about the value of a college degree that may portend a reckoning for the higher education industry in the years ahead. 56% of Americans say a 4-year college degree isn't worth the cost due to the students graduating with significant debts and a lack of specific job skills versus 42% who still think it was worth it. 10 years ago, those numbers were reversed. I think the burden of student loan being its non-dischargeable debt and the costs of a college degree far outpacing inflation probably plays a big role in these results.
Well, hey, maybe that means we'll see more people deciding to enter the trades, because if anyone's tried to do any home remodeling or repairs, I think they've noticed that people are in high demand and very, very low supply.
I still think a college degree is well worth your time, provided that you're there for one of the hard sciences, something that is very tangible, not like an English lit degree.
Oh, well, you're speaking to a philosophy degree. Thank you very much.
Philosophy is important. And I don't mean to denigrate English literature.
Don't you?
It's just that, for 100,000, you could just go to the library. Just saying.
Like Abraham Lincoln.
Right. He was, didn't he get a law degree from just going to the library?
Going to the library.
Or is that another tall tale?
It's interesting because, you go to school, unless you know specifically what you want to be when you grow up, i.e. maybe a doctor, a lawyer, engineer, not everybody has their mind made up.
Right.
And so this can be a very expensive experience. Many folks do have to go on to postgraduate educations, which also can be very expensive. And frankly, I can tell you because I'm in the maybe third quarter of my working career. Never imagined that I'd be doing what I'm doing now, because frankly, this part of the financial services industry didn't exist even 20 years ago.
Right.
So imagining this 40 years ago is pretty difficult. But, we're in a situation where the costs are very expensive. Money is no longer cheap. And people have to make decisions. And truthfully, I don't think that this is an issue with creating more, really the next generation of skilled labor, because really we had, frankly, at least what my friends tell me, we really have missed the whole generation of skilled workers, whether
Right.
it's masons or plumbers or electricians, etc.
Carpenters, pipe fitters.
And, these folks, they do very well because they're skilled.
And most of them have access to pensions, excellent health insurance throughout their working careers, and even opportunities to take that into retirement. So there are a lot of benefits to the skilled labor professions.
No question. And obviously technology has had a significant effect on both professionals as well as skilled labor.
Right.
Which is kind of neat.
And our last article, near and dear to my heart, How to Kill Your Zombie Subscriptions. Zombie subscriptions are auto-renewing services that people sign up for and then forget or rarely use. Common examples include phone, TV, music, news subscriptions, health and fitness memberships. Getting rid of these unnecessary or unused recurring charges could help balance your household budget and direct that money towards more useful endeavors. So my advice on that front would be to conduct an audit, scrutinize your Social Security statement so you can identify
Your credit card statements.
Right. So you can identify a zombie subscription and get rid of it before those charges add up. And I'm constantly...
The one thing that you don't want to do, though, which is the lazy way to do it, so of course I've tried it already, is don't cancel your credit cards, because that actually has a very negative impact on your credit score.
Where you just cancel out the credit card and
right,
whoever's attached to it just dies.
That's it solves the problem pretty quickly.
Yeah, that could...
However, it creates a new host of issues. So, for example, one of the major components of your credit score is longevity. And the only way that they can measure longevity in your credit score is how long you've held an individual credit card. So, for example, if you've held that Visa card for the last 20 years and then you cancel it, that wipes, unless you have other cards that have either been in existence for equally as long or at least about 10 years is what they like to see, then you could be starting back over at zero at like 60 years old again, which really can bring down your credit score significantly.
I get in trouble, well, not really, but when they offer like introductory rates, like we'll give you 2 months of...
And then you cancel it after.
Right before, but sometimes you'll forget. I write everything down in the book so I can kind of remember. But sometimes it's like you'll just miss that deadline, and now it's like, you're scrambling the next day to no, I meant to cancel you.
This is actually a really great point, because one of the clients came in to see us, and, kids are so good with the iPhones now that little granddaughter said, "Grandma, can I play with the iPhone?" And she said, "Sure, go ahead. I unlocked it for you here." And then and the little girl was so sweet. She came back over and said, "Grandma, can I play this game?" And Grandma's like, "Does it cost anything?" She said, No, it's free." Well, it was free for the first month, and then Grandma got a $4 charge on her card, and of course she was concerned that someone had hacked her card because she certainly didn't buy anything for $4. And then she finally realized little grandbaby was clever.
No, that's how they get you with the hook. Especially now we're close to the NFL draft, and a lot of the
NFL draft.
I like to read the behind the scenes content, and they'll give you a couple of months at 99 cents, and you're like, all right, well, I know what they're trying to do here. They're trying to get me in for longer term.
This is an unauthorized purchase.
Right. I just have to be diligent and make sure it's just 99 cents. Newspapers are roughly the same way. I mean, I don't like to read many newspapers, but there are some regional papers that I enjoy, and
you get locked out with the paywall.
Right. They put things behind the paywall, and then they try and scoop you in with $1.99 for
Read
2 months.
as many articles as you
right.
like.
And the whole thing is the weeks turn into months, and you forget because you're just enjoying the content, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, where did $7.99 come from? So
I was enjoying 99 cents worth of content, but not $8 worth of content.
Right, at $8 price point, I think maybe we can read about yesterday's news from somewhere else. I mean, so
it's terrible.
Yeah, kill those zombie subscriptions.
Well, we call it the Coach's Corner. Easy to access. Just go to our website, jblfinancial.com. Click on that Coach's Corner newsletter icon, bottom left-hand corner. Or as you're scrolling through our site, sign up.
That's right. Click sign up on the left-hand side of the screen in the little pop-up box that appears on almost every single page. Or you can click in the upper right-hand corner, contact us, and request to be added to the newsletter list, and we will do that for you.
And what's nice to know is, folks, especially with the Contact Us box at our website, we are often asked questions. Folks use this also to contact us to arrange for coaching sessions, whether financial or Medicare or both. And a lot of the content that we have on the show also comes from there. So please continue to contact us. We'd love to hear from you. But right now, we're live, so our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line.
While we're waiting for your texts and phone calls to start flooding in, as they always do, especially in the sunny weather, I think we should take our first break of the hour.
Why not? So don't touch that dial. We'll be back with more Straight Talk on retirement after these messages.
Diana from Newstetter's Fine Jewelers here to remind you, we don't just offer the best pieces, we offer one of the last master hand engravers in our country. My father can create timeless, personal, and unforgettable pieces. Come by our showroom at the corner of Big Ben and Doherty Ferry or learn more online at wowdiamonds.com.
Here's our story. Tony and Denise, brother and sister team, born and raised in good old St. Louis, started in 2009.
More like 1959.
Started our business in 2009 with the idea of buying in bulk in order to save you money.
Our sales staff will educate you on products and features that are most important to you. We can offer top brands like GE at the lowest price every day.
Come by and visit any of our 4 showrooms or shop us online at theappliancediscounters.com, where our savings are your savings.
This is David Sherwood of Sherwood's Forest, the Inside Out Show's tree guy. You may have heard the name Fertilome. They've been around for nearly 50 years, and they offer a wide variety of fertilizers, weed prevention, weed killers, plant foods, and much more. You won't find Fertilome in the big box stores. You'll find it at your local nursery and garden centers. Fertilome won't force you into a multi-step fertilizer program. Their classic lawn food has slow-release nitrogen and trace micronutrients that will help your lawn grow greener and healthier throughout the season. I've met with the folks at Fertilome, and we stock it at Sherwood's Forest. I'm convinced they can help your lawn, garden, and plants grow into something to be proud of. To find a Fertilome dealer near you, just go to fertilome.com and click on the Find a Dealer link and enter your zip code to find a garden center that stocks the Fertilome product that's right for your needs, including their natural expanded product offerings. That's fertilome.com.
It's summertime. Well, not yet. But as the weather warms up, warm up your oven and spend a family pizza night with Dogtown. Dogtown Pizza, that is. And with 11 different varieties, there's something for everyone. Pepperoni for Pat, deluxe for Diane. And don't forget the hot wing pizza, a party favorite. As the nights get longer, don't slave over the stove. Enjoy those family evenings and make it Dogtown for dinner.
Baseball season is here, and the perfect place to watch the game is high atop the Hilton St. Louis at 360. 360 offers you a bird's eye view of the Cards while enjoying your favorite ice-cold libation and tasty treat, featuring inventive takes on sliders, fish tacos, pizzas, and more. So before, during, or after the downtown baseball game, you've got to be with the in-crowd at 360 atop the Hilton at the ballpark. 360-STL.com.
Mom, what do you always say?
There's nothing sadder than jewelry that sits in a drawer.
That's why we are proud to offer jewelry repair on site at Newsteaders Fine Jewelry. We know that your jewelry is important to you, and we take that part of our job very seriously. Visit us at Doherty Ferry in Big Bend or learn more at wowdiamonds.com.
This is Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, that you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email, jeff@jblfinancial.com, to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Welcome back to the show. It's 9:27 here on the Big 550 KTRS, Talk Radio St. Louis. We're ready for phone calls and your texts.
That's right.
Phone lines are open, 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. We like to say that we have a lot of things on our mind. What's more important is what's on yours.
Right now, the text line seems to be unusually quiet, probably the quiet before the storm. So maybe we talk about our first subject.
Why don't we do that? But I do want to mention to everybody that before we begin our first subject today, this actually is this is coming from a coaching session that Aaron and I had, and Rob and I had with one of our clients, existing clients, which is kind of fun. And we're busy. You know, we're getting phone calls every single week from you folks, our listeners, 55 and older, want to retire, need a coaching session, need to come visit us. Easy to do. We'd love to see you in our office in Clayton, or Clayton. It used to be Clayton. Now it's Olivet, 314.
We're everywhere.
863-0008. So let's talk a little bit about...
Before we get to Joan, we have our first text of the hour.
And our first texter writes, "Hi, my husband retired from a company that offered a group health insurance. Unfortunately, when he turns 65 and signs up for Medicare, the group health insurance goes away. He does not want an Advantage plan. What other options are out there to supplement his future Medicare? Thanks."
Well, the only other alternative is supplemental plans, or sometimes they're called Medigap policies, or they're referred to as the lettered policies. They're lettered A through L. They all have a varying degree of coverage from 100% of the 20% that Medicare does not cover. So Medicare Part A and B that you'll elect cover 80% of your medical expenses. You're really just looking for something to cover the last 20%. At the top of the next hour, we're going to actually have Frank on talking about some of the less frequently used supplemental policies, what some of the benefits and also the drawbacks are to that. The most popular supplement at this point is Plan G. The reason for that is it's about $175 a month in the St. Louis metro area for an individual turning 65, and it's going to cover 100% of what Medicare covers for you, except for the Medicare Part B deductible, which is $224 this year. So that means...
I'm sorry, $226.
Sorry. Okay. He's sorry. $226, which is out of your pocket first for visits to the doctor, labs, x-rays, admissions to the hospital. You pay $226. Once you've paid that, you don't pay again for the rest of the year, except for if you are filling prescriptions, because unlike Medicare Advantage, the supplemental plans do not cover prescriptions. So you'll need to couple your supplement with a prescription drug plan, or that's also referred to as Part D. There are a lot of different options out there for that. I believe there's about 114 plans.
So $175 for a month for his supplemental plan. Then we have to tack on maybe anywhere from say maybe 50
0 to $150
for
a
his
month.
prescription drugs.
Yep.
So now we're pushing past $3,000.
That is true. But, if you don't want the Medicare Advantage plan, you're happy to pay the insurance company. They'll accept the funds.
Does not matter to us. What matters is that you get the plan that you want. And,
Absolutely.
we're just there to show you how the math works out, how it shakes out.
And what the benefits look like when you go to the doctor. Because the most important thing is you're not going to know every rule of Medicare. I would venture to guess that our members of Congress don't know every rule of Medicare. But what you do want to know is, what are my benefits? How much does it cost when I go to the doctor? What's my maximum liability? Where do I fill my prescriptions? How much is it going to cost when I fill my prescriptions? And we can easily do that for you.
Yeah, I think it's curious because our texter was concerned that the company health plan, which is basically a managed care plan,
right,
which is
what Medicare Advantage also is,
and it looks like it, is something that was a concern. So,
well, that's one of the reasons why Medicare enrollees have moved towards Medicare Advantage plans, because over the last 10 years, they really have begun to resemble what you had at work, but they're better because you don't have to pay a premium in order to access the plans. Most people, unless you work for a very large company, probably had a premium deducted from their paycheck every month to cover their health insurance. Medicare allows you to choose. Either you pay premium every month and have very low out-of-pocket expenses, or you don't pay premium and you have a maximum out of pocket. In many cases, you have very low out-of-pocket expenses because the plans have evolved to the point where you have zero copays to the primary for any visit, between $25 and $45 copays to the specialist, which we had the opportunity to look at a lot of group health insurance plans when people retire, and those expenses are higher, and they're paying premium.
Yeah, I just went for my routine annual physical yesterday. Had some testing done. Zippo. Didn't even open my wallet. It was great.
Oh, look at it's as if the universe knew what our topic was. We've got another text coming in.
Great.
And our texter writes, I'm getting ready to retire from education. Can you discuss the option of taking the largest monthly distribution or taking the lump sum plus lower monthly distribution? There are 3 lump sum amounts. I don't know the percentages offhand, but let's say $85,000, $125,000, and or $240,000.
So this is really cool because we are about to discuss lump sum versus pension. However, for most private companies, individuals that have the option to take the lump sum do not also have the option to take a small pension. If you are part of the peers education system, which our texter is, you have an extra decision to make, because you can decide lump sum or monthly pension, or peers allows you to say, I want a little bit of both in one form or another, and that's what our texter is asking. So I think we should absolutely head into our conversation about Joan, because it'll probably give our texter a nice idea of our thoughts.
Yeah, I think it's important to get a little perspective, that's all. So Joan was recently referred to us by a client coworker who also happens to be employed by the major manufacturing and defense contractor that previously had their headquarters here in St. Louis. She has the option of taking her pension as a lump sum or as a monthly income stream. And this is not unusual, of course. So let's share a couple of the facts that are going on about this case, and then obviously what are the criteria that we need to consider, and frankly she needs to consider in making this decision.
Well, in Joan's case, the lump sum option was $103,000 versus a monthly benefit of $728, or roughly $8,700 a year.
So is this the life-only option?
This is the 100% joint and survivor option.
Okay, so the first question is the monthly benefit a better deal than the lump sum?
And I would say there's no question that the monthly benefits appears to be a much better deal.
How did you figure that out?
Well, I took 8736, which is the annualized monthly benefit. I divided that by 103,000. It came out to be 8.5%.
So that's the payout rate, right?
That's correct.
So
Since that number is greater than 6%, which is the average payout rate on a joint survivor, 100% joint survivor, 8.5 is
pretty good.
OMG.
Well, that was a joint and survivor. What is the average? So if joint survivor is about 6%. What is the average payout rate for like a life only if Joan happened to have been single?
7.
Okay, so there are different numbers you want to consider depending upon your situation.
Yes, and generally what happens is the number that's usually quoted to you on the front is a life-only option. You then have to go back and do a little bit more research.
And they usually offer anywhere between 25%, all the 50%, 75%, 100% to the survivor.
Yes.
Okay.
But there are several criteria that have to be considered. Because it's really more than it's not only just a dollar and cents issue, which is always important, but also some other criteria. The first one is, and I know we were discussing this, which is the monthly benefit, the pension benefit itself, a better deal than the lump sum? And I would say that the answer in this particular case is yes, it's much better than the lump sum.
Because you only really have about 12 years of payout.
Well, you're looking at a guaranteed income stream.
For life. For both lives.
At 8.5% payout rate.
It's pretty good.
It's fabulous. I mean, there's almost nothing that can match that. The second criteria is that how does this benefit itself fit into her financial game plan?
Does she need the $728 a month in order to make the income work?
Well, not only that but is it too high or is it too low? Because we know once we accept that benefit, it can't be changed.
This is one of the only things you generally can't reverse.
So does it make sense if, let's say, that benefit is too high? Well, does it make sense maybe like in our texter? And that would be criteria I would be using with them to say, okay, I have a pension benefit of X. Which is the one that matches me the best? Right. And then B, that lump sum option, if I were to take, again, the annualized monthly benefit, divide that by the lump sum option, what percentage is that? So for our peers texter, you have 3 choices, which means you might be able to customize based on peers' options with that pension benefit, whereas Joan has to make a decision, is it the pension or is it the lump sum? Right. And, in this particular case, we also have, and maybe one of the bigger things is health. Longevity. Of both you and your partner, potentially. Right. I mean, are you in good health? Are you not in good health? Because it's almost like Social Security. If you're not in good health,
take it early.
You take. Right. As quickly as you can, right? Mm-hmm. In this particular case, Joan was in good health, so longevity was not hopefully going to be an issue for her. But we also didn't talk about Joan and her family situation. Does Joan have any children? At this point, the answer is no. She doesn't have any children. So it sounds like maybe probably not going to have children. Right. She didn't plan on adopting anyone either, or getting married at this moment, where maybe she might have, let's say, step children. She is married, I thought.
But say she did, like, how important would it be to pass on potentially that lump sum to descendants? That would be a criteria we would use.
Well, that would be certainly, we'd have to have her prioritize that, because in this case, we know that pensions generally stop. They don't go to the children. They don't go to the grandchildren. You can only have it elected to go to the spouse, and that has to be done before you begin receiving the pension. Yes, exactly. So is it important for and with our peers texter, is it important to have a part of this go out? Because it may be, let's say you're in a situation where you're consuming all of that pension benefit. Mm-hmm. You don't really going to have extra savings. Maybe you don't have other significant assets. Well, being able to take a lump sum and putting that aside, even though it's in a pre-tax account, going to grow, would be subject to requirement in District 73. It still is an opportunity to pass on assets to the next generation, a loved one, whoever it might be. So there are really 3 criteria, and they aren't necessarily equally weighted in each, and everyone can weight them differently based on their situation, which is what is the deal? What is the payout rate on the pension versus the lump sum?
Your health.
Your health. How does it fit into my financial game plan, which means is the pension sized appropriately for my income needs? And then finally, actually, there's 4, not 3. How important is it to have assets to pass on, probably above and beyond your home if you own one, to your loved ones or even to churches and charities? We have seen quite a few new and prospective clients that have made charitable giving, not only during their lifetime, but after they've passed away, a very big priority. So, depending upon your situation.
And our texter just asked, what are the tax implications of the lump sum? And thank you.
So Dad just kind of breezed past this one for everyone, but the lump sum is going to be treated as a direct rollover into an IRA account. So you're going to take, it's considered pre-tax, you're going to move that into a pre-tax account. The Pierce paperwork actually requests that you fill in the account information for where you'd like them to direct those funds. That's going to be a tax-free transfer. You aren't required to make distributions from that account until you reach required minimum distribution eligibility, which right now is 73, but should be moving up to 75. You can allow that to grow tax deferred, so you can invest that how you choose or whatever meets your risk tolerance or needs. It'll grow tax deferred, and as you take money out, it's going to be taxable to you.
Yes, very well put. And, you know, in either case, when we're looking at this, we're trying to figure out, does the pension benefit actually fit? Can we, as advisors, and we do this all the time, recreate the pension benefit that fits better? Is that needed? And then maybe the most important one is kind of I call it the feel good.
Mm-hmm.
By electing one of these options, which one will give you a greater sense of financial security? That's really what it comes down to. Will you sleep easier at night knowing that we're going to have this pension benefit? Or do you have significant other benefits that are in place, fixed income streams, so that this one maybe isn't as significant? You can say, hey, I'm going to roll the dice. I'll take the lump sum. I'll try to make it grow so I can pass it on. There are no right or wrong answers here, especially when it comes to what's going to make me feel comfortable.
Sure.
Because again, as I like to say to all of our clients, we're trying to make the best decisions we can in the moment. We don't know how you're going to feel 3 years from now or 5 years from now. We don't know who the president's going to be. We don't know if we're going to be at war. We don't know if inflation is going to be down. We don't know where interest rates are going to be. We don't know where you're going to be health-wise. So making the best decisions we can today,
mm-hmm.
Put you in a position where at least you have something to go, was I dumb? what was in my mind 5 years ago?
I was also thinking, I've been saying to a lot of, there's a price to being miserable. So if you make a decision and you're constantly miserable with it, there's a price to that, emotionally, physically, all those things. So it's important. Sometimes our decisions, you talk about this a lot, Dad, which is sometimes our decisions aren't based on money, they're based on love. Sometimes our decisions aren't based on dollars and cents, they're based on comfort.
Yes, and nothing's wrong with that. We don't care what Dave Ramsey says.
Oh my gosh, calling out people, right?
We've been watching so much.
It's so curious because there's a lot of advice out there from people that actually don't manage people's money.
Didn't I say? Well, I say that a lot to clients because interesting, not our clients, but their children are very hooked into Dave Ramsey, which makes sense because he makes great points. Don't go into massive amounts of debt. Pay off your obligations, save money, invest, all the basics. But he gets to live in a perfect world in which issues don't come up. People have needs and desires. People want to enjoy their life while they're making their money.
The human component is completely missing. You know, like with the gentleman who wanted to buy a new car. It's like, and I remember you saying, you said, yeah, don't enjoy your life. Like, you get hit by a bus tomorrow and all your, so there's a balance here, I think, is what we're trying to get at. And you want to strike the right balance so that, your misery cost, as my wife just eloquently put, is kept to a minimum.
Right. So.
Well, that or it's put off till later.
Put off till later.
Delayed gratification.
Delayed misery.
Yes, exactly. Call that lamenting.
Have that high time preference.
Well, I think we should take our second break of the hour, and we actually put together some numbers based on Joan's needs. I thought it might be a great idea to run through a numerical example to give people an idea of what we're talking about when we're talking lump sum versus pension.
Yes, Joan had some very interesting options and opportunities in terms of making decisions about when to turn on and off faucets in her situation, and just like many of our clients. And so we think this is fun. So we'll talk about these right after we take this last break of the hour.
Every Wednesday, Lauren Risley and Josh and I,
of course,
right, talk about something in real estate, something in home improvement, sometimes pizza, sometimes that. But I'm always wondering, we see those signs that say, "I'll buy your house for cash." Should we be leery of that?
Unless there's someone out there just collecting houses, like piling them up somewhere, they're typically turning them for a profit. So in some situations, it may be a good fit for people, but in most situations, they're leaving some money on the table. So if that's an option that you're looking at least reach out first so we can give you some guidance.
And they don't necessarily have to sign on the dotted line with you. You can just offer them great information.
Call, ask any question that you have. Knowledge is power. If you don't know, just call and ask.
Call Lauren at 314-775-0684 or email her hello@laurenrisleyrealty.com.
The wait is finally over. Come visit Genesis of St. Charles. Your all-new standalone Genesis dealership is now open. Come see for yourself the dedication and passion that have helped shape this unique space designed to elevate your Genesis journey. Luxury and excellence live here at your new Genesis of St. Charles. We make amazing happen. Visit our new indoor showroom at 5601 Veterans Memorial Parkway in St. Peters. Or for more information, visit genesisofstcharles.com.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
My doctor told me my cholesterol is borderline, so I took control with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula. Garlic helps maintain healthy cholesterol safely and naturally. It's odor and taste-free, and Garlic is a world leader in garlic potency. I'm taking charge of my cholesterol with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula, cholesterol's natural enemy.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
Ladies and gentlemen, the president and general manager of the Big 550 KTRS, Mark Dorsey.
What began as a new kind of talk radio for St. Louis 28 years ago in a cornfield in Belleville, Illinois, has blossomed into one of the best nationally known and locally owned stations in America. As we celebrate our 28th year of serving the St. Louis area with national and local news, traffic, weather, sports, and of course our signature brand of engaging talk from the legendary names you know and trust, I want to thank you, our loyal listeners, our wonderful advertisers, and the many friends and partners who continue to support our mission. 28 years and counting. We are your Big 550 KTRS.
This is Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email at aaron@jblfinancial.com to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Well, welcome back to hour number one of Straight Talk and Retirement. We've got about 10 minutes left. Before we get back to our texts at 84126 and our phone calls at 314-931-5877. I do want to say something back to Mark Dorsey, station manager.
Great guy.
thank you for letting us bring our ball into your ballpark.
Yep.
We're 3 weeks short of 18 years here on the show.
Wow.
You are old.
I would like to think of mature as more important, and I'm cutting your allowance. Okay.
It's fine. Your office is in the basement. Moved you.
You know, I can't even go there. I have so many retorts that I could make at this moment,
Never.
but I'm going to hold off on them because your husband's sitting right next to me. So, Joan, our friend Joan, our client Joan, is in her second marriage. She's not concerned about leaving an income benefit to her husband, who happens to be, she's healthy, and he's also, they're kind of a two-bucket family.
Many second marriages
Right.
are.
She may continue to work part-time in retirement, and she is also eligible because of her age for her normal Social Security retirement benefit. So it's kind of interesting. So the lady, you know, she's a grown-up.
Mm-hmm.
All the basically tread is not off on her tires. She may want to continue to work a little bit. She has this pension benefit. She has Social Security benefits available. She has a large 401k plan of about $445,000. When do we turn on the spigots on these things?
And also, how does that lump sum versus the pension fit in?
Oh yeah, we didn't even worry about that. We already figured that pension benefit was such a good deal that we were going to take the pension benefit.
Okay.
So let's just talk about her current situation. Rob, her income need, as she told us, was approximately $4,000 a month
before taxes.
Before or after taxes. So pre-tax, she really needs $4,800, about 20% more, right?
She does. Luckily, her Social Security benefit is $3,200. So she's about $1,600 a month short. When we annualize that, we come to a number of $19,200.
Now, we do know that she has a pension benefit she'll be receiving if she elects it, which we assume she will, assuming she does actually leave work, of about $730 a month. So that's going to certainly eat into that $1,600 a month deficit, which is kind of nice. And she has, again, $445,000 in her 401k plan.
So electing the pension would decrease her income need to about $800 a month.
Right.
Cuts it in half.
Which means her distributions from her IRAs will only be about 2%.
That's well within the prudent rate of withdrawal that we recommend.
Which is about 4%.
Right. So she's kind of there. Now, if she changes her mind and decides to take the lump sum, then her total IRA assets would increase from $445,000 to $548,000.
And with an annual income need of $19,200, that's still less than 4%. So Joan's in a pretty good spot.
She's good either way.
Right.
That's
in terms
right.
of withdrawals from her retirement accounts.
Well, she could also delay her Social Security benefits and increase her monthly pension benefit if she desired to do so, right?
Right. Or if she said she's going to get a part-time job and take her Social Security benefit, most likely that would cover over a substantial portion of that income need for an extended period of time.
Man, Joan has a lot of options.
And we could then obviously bank her pension benefit.
Right.
If she wanted to do that. So,
but if she delays her pension benefit, will that increase or has it frozen?
yeah, it's a frozen benefit.
Okay, so for some people, there could be another option, which is if you're going to continue to work, you may have the opportunity to have your pension benefit and the lump sum potentially increase over time. So you would want to confirm, is your pension frozen or is it adjustable?
And one other fact that we didn't bring into the consideration here is, in regard to Social Security, is a survivor benefit. You know, is her husband's benefit greater than hers? Because we know if he predeceases her, she's going to get his benefit.
Right.
She would obviously drop hers, which is fine. So, and we know that at this point, hers is not as large as his is. So taking her benefit would certainly make sense. One other reason that taking her Social Security could make sense is because we know that no more than 85% of it is subject to federal income tax. 15% is income tax free. So that's really more efficient
And no state taxes in Missouri anymore.
And the fact that she's at normal retirement age or full retirement age, there'll be no Social Security takeback if she continues to work.
So she can earn as much as she likes.
Joan is, she's firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, it's kind of neat when you have the ability to make all these decisions. Feel good, not feel good. So as an example, let's say that Joan did decide that she was going to take her Social Security benefit. We know that we can go up to 364 days. She can change her mind, pay it back.
You do have to have the full amount to pay back, though.
Exactly, which she certainly does, and we would have to make a distribution to do that for her. But she could certainly do that and do a do-over, and then her benefit would then increase by 8% for that year she's getting back.
You only get one do-over the first year that you elect your Social Security benefit. So if that's something you're considering, like we talked about at the top of the hour, really your pension election is the only thing that is irreversible when you make the election and start receiving benefit. Even Social Security can be modified, potentially.
Right. So really when we're talking about her income from part-time work, if she actually goes back and does this, her pension benefit, her Social Security benefit, distributions from a retirement plan, we're going to be able to meld a tax-effective income strategy for her that's going to take into account that she has good longevity, but at the same time, she's not really depending upon her husband's benefits whatsoever. We're really looking at replacing that income stream from her. Which we'll easily be able to do. So that's great. So sometimes taking the lump sum might feel like it's the best option and intuitively say, I want to take that money. But a lot of times it isn't. And so you really have to look at the numbers. And in this particular case, because of the payout rate, we were looking at 8.5%.
It's pretty good.
Forget about it. Right? I mean, literally, it's forget about it. I mean, you take that, and what's cool is that obviously if she has excess savings, which in theory here we know she would because we add her Social Security in, we add her pension in, we add et cetera, all those things back in, she's going to have extra money every month.
If she wants it.
If she wants to consume it. Or she can save it and thereby, if you want to think about it, replace the lump sum that she didn't take.
Well, if the average payout rate is, what would be considered good would be 6, and she's, at 8.5, that's almost 50% higher than what would be considered average. So, I mean, it's I'm not going to say it's a no-brainer because every life has a certain math set that makes it work. But in Joan's case, she has options all the way around.
Yes, and I'm visiting with Joan again this Wednesday. I can't wait. Oh, really? To hear what she's decided, to hear what she had to have some discussions with HR. Could she actually quit and come back? Get her pension.
Some places allow for that. Some places say once you've left and elected your pension, you can't.
The hospitals, you can't take your pension while you're and reduce your hours. They won't let you work there and double dip, as it would be.
But and just to go back to our peers texture, I have heard that teachers do have the ability to elect their pension now and still go back if they're interested in substitute teaching, things like that, because we do have several clients that are part of the peer system that have been begged to return. Please come back.
Seems to be a reoccurring theme across many industries.
Yes.
Either begging you not to go, or if you do go, making you an offer when you're sitting on the couch for a couple of weeks that you just can't refuse.
Right.
Well, and we see, and I mean, I know that from my own experience and all of that, which is the police and the firemen.
Yes.
Love to get hired back. And then when they get hired back, for them, it's like, it's bonus days. No, really, because they're getting their pension. They're typically paid more because of their experience.
Many of them are eligible for Social Security as well.
Exactly. They have fun. So it's all good. Again, our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line.
And when we get back, after the news and our break after this hour, we're going to have Frank Ellis, our Medicare coach, in the studio with us. And in a remarkable turn of topics during our Medicare hour, or our Medicare segment, we are actually going to be talking about the different supplements, some of which are less discussed on a regular basis. So we'll have some fun and interesting things to discuss. So if you have Medicare questions, now is the time to queue them up, 84126 on the text line, or get in the queue on the phone lines at 314-931-5877.
And if you want to schedule a coaching session, easy to do. Give our office a call, 314-863-0008. And don't touch that dial. We'll be right back after these messages for hour 2 of Straight Talk on Retirement.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk on Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, welcome back to Straight Talk on Retirement. As promised, we have Frank Ellis in the studio this morning, our Medicare coach. Welcome, Frank.
Good morning.
So if you have questions about Medicare, about enrolling in Medicare, about your Medicare, send us a text, 84126, or give us a call, 314-931-5877. We'll be here to answer those questions. But, Frank, you prepared a nice conversation about Medicare supplements and some of the, like I mentioned in the last hour, some of the less discussed Medicare supplements, what those benefits are and the differences between some of the plans.
That's right. So this morning we're going to take a little bit different approach. I know we spend a lot of time on the Advantage plans because of how good they are and all of those other extra benefits that they provide for people.
Sure.
However, there are some cases where folks do need a Medicare supplement.
Or they just decide that's what they want.
Or they decide that's what they want still. And I had an interesting situation actually with a gentleman named Ethan out of Kansas City, Missouri, who actually is a client of ours.
Great.
We have clients elsewhere, Kansas City, Florida. So, I'm able to help people out. Exactly. And especially when it comes to these Medicare supplements, because they're not so much area restricted. So like where you live, you have to join that certain plan. This is a plan that travels with you, and it's going to work exactly like it does in your home state anywhere else in the country.
Right. These plans are federally standardized. So that means if you bought it in Missouri, in St. Louis or Kansas City, if you bought it in California, if you bought it in Florida, your plan G, your plan N, your plan F, if you bought it several years ago, is going to be identical no matter where you are.
That's right. That's right.
The prices might be different, though.
Oh, yeah, because the insurance carriers, we know that they control the prices, but the government controls the rules of the plans. That is correct.
Perfect.
So I told Ethan that I would share his story. So if you're listening, Ethan, hello. And he basically came to me and he told me, he's been doing some Medicare research. And
I love that.
He feels, every time I hear that, I love it.
Because I'm like, you opened up that Medicare and You book? Oh, God.
Exactly. How confused are you?
Right.
So that's what you come to me for, is to get a little bit of clarification. So he basically told me that he was leaning towards, through the research that he's done with these plans and how traditional is a little bit more flexible, and he's looked at Advantage. But he thought that, since he has a little bit of family history, and I shouldn't even say a little bit, I'm being a little bit conservative there. He had some really, really bad family history.
So some significant health problems, both sides of the family.
That is right. That is correct. And I'm talking, heart disease, cancer, stroke, diabetes. We're talking major medical issues that he has family history.
Some of which have ongoing needs.
That's correct. That is correct. So through our conversation, when we're outweighing our decisions here, that is something that I look at and I say, okay, if you have 4 sets of family history between heart disease, cancer, stroke, diabetes, traditional Medicare may not be a bad option for you, because it sounds like you're going to need a lot of coverage in the future.
Right, because in a lot of cases, what we're doing when we're considering a supplement versus Medicare Advantage, it really comes down to usage. Because there are people that are not necessarily in the best health, but they don't need regular access to physicians because they have an issue that doesn't require treatment. But when we're talking about stroke, about cancer, those are things that have ongoing medical needs, sometimes for years at a time, which means that hitting the maximum out of pocket, you might be someone that doesn't fall in that you hit the maximum out of pocket one time every 7 years. You'd be a person that hits your maximum out of pocket 6 times every 7 years, and the math doesn't work as well.
Exactly. And that absolutely happens. We have clients that, they have such high usage that they are hitting that max out of pocket every year.
Yeah.
So another piece of the puzzle is we know that these Medicare supplements, you pay for them. So you're paying an insurance company for 20% coverage, because under traditional Medicare, we know that your Part A, your hospital coverage, is free, and your Part B, that's what you pay for, and that's your medical, that covers you medically. And that costs you about $175 a month. $174.70 is the standard amount. And we know that when you have both A and B, that's covering you at 80%. So what is picking up that additional 20%? That's where you would buy a Medicare supplement.
Okay.
Now, there are several different Medicare supplements listed, plans A through plan N. This is not to be confused with Part A and Part B of Medicare.
Even though there is a plan A and a plan B supplement.
Exactly.
It's government coverage, so they want to make it confusing.
There we go. So think of it like this. You have one piece of the puzzle is your Part A and your Part B. That's one piece of the puzzle. That's 80%. The other piece of that puzzle is the plan that you cover the additional 20% with. So when we're talking about Plan A and Plan B, we're only talking about Medicare supplements covering you at 20%.
Which come from private insurance companies. A variety of them offer all of the plans listed. Some don't offer every plan. So depending upon which plan you choose, you'll have a different list of carriers that are available to you.
That is correct. Now, for Ethan's sake, I love the Plan G. And I know that I've discussed the Plan G on our show before. Aaron, you have as well. Mm-hmm. That Plan G is a fantastic plan. You pay the insurance company, for instance, let's just say United Healthcare. You pay United Healthcare, male age 65, average about $175 monthly.
Now, that sounds like your Medicare Part B premium, but it's on top of your Medicare Part B premium. So you've got the $174.70 that comes directly out of your Social Security check, or you're paying it quarterly if you haven't taken Social Security yet. Then you're going to pay an insurance company $175 a month for the Plan G.
That is right. That is right.
And Plan G covers like everything.
Plan G covers everything. And we're actually going to take a look at the Medicare chart.
Okay.
And we're going to look at the 9 pieces of coverage that the Medigap plans do cover. So in my conversation with Ethan, basically, we were looking at a Plan G, but Ethan asked a very good question. He asked, are there any plans that you don't recommend to have on these Medigap plans? And are there any other plans that you would recommend in my situation to have other than the G?
Tell me a couple of the ones you would not recommend.
So before getting into the Medigap chart, sure, right off the bat, Plan A, Plan B, Plan C are 3 right off of the top of my head that I can think about that I would not recommend because of the lack of coverage that they don't have in their plan.
So think about this. The higher the premium, the more coverage you're going to get. However, the most expensive plan is the Medicare Plan G, which is $175 in Ethan's case. Every other plan is going to be less expensive. However, you want to consider what is the trade-off. And I can see, if we're just looking at plans A, B, and C offered, why, Frank, you wouldn't recommend them, because they have relatively limited coverage.
That is correct. So let's talk about the 9 areas of coverage first to begin with, before we get into a deep dive of these plans and the ones that I would recommend. So the first area of coverage is called the Part A coinsurance and hospital cost, up to an additional 365 days after Medicare benefits are used. So this is your Part A and B covering you in the hospital. Your Plan A or your Plan B, basically every plan with Medicare is going to cover this for you. So if you have some sort of Medicare supplement, mm-hmm, you're going to be covered hospitalized from Plans A all the way through Plan N.
And so that means when you're admitted to the hospital, you won't be paying anything as long as you hit your Medicare Part B deductible, if you haven't paid that yet. That's correct. Relatively small price. So the largest bulk of that expense is going to be covered by that Plan A through N.
That is correct. So if the hospital stay is, $1,000, you're going to be covered as long as your supplement plan does, like you said, also include that Part B deductible of $240.
Perfect.
Which we are going to talk about.
Okay.
The next piece is the Part B coinsurance or copayment. This would be if you go to the doctor or you go to the hospital and you have some sort of additional copayment.
Got you.
Most plans cover this at 100%, with the exception of Plan K and Plan L. Plan K covers this at 50%. So you would be making copays. You'd have a 50% co-share. The insurance would pay 50%. You would pay 50%. And then the Plan L covers it at 75%.
So you'll only pay 25% in that particular case.
Mm-hmm.
Then my favorite, and everyone's favorite.
This is your favorite?
The first 3 pints of blood.
Yeah.
Like, why is that a separate? First of all, where else can you get blood but in the hospital? So why wouldn't that be covered under the Part A co-insurance?
Right.
And secondly, why is it only the first 3 pints? Like, what if you needed 4?
I know.
It's just a very weird benefit. This is why when you sit down with Frank, most likely he is not going to go through this entire chart with you, because never is anyone walking in concerned, Frank, what if I need 4
pints of blood?
What if I need blood? It's how are my benefits going to be covered as I am using the plan? So we'll get into a little bit more depth of that, but I think it does make sense to go through these. So everyone that's considering one of these plan options through the supplements, when you look, because this chart is readily available to you on Medicare.gov if you want to take a look at it. It's in that awful Medicare and You book that everyone gets that just confuses the heck out of everyone. And you'll see this, it's literally a list of these benefits with the plans across the top and little check marks or X's depending upon if that plan is covered or not, or if that benefit is covered under the plan or not.
And of course, your check marks means that something is covered. If it's got an X and you're looking at it, then that means it's not covered. That means it's coming out of your pocket.
Absolutely. All right. So first 3 pints of blood, almost everybody covers
Almost
that.
everybody. Again, with the same exception, K and L don't cover. They only cover a certain percentage. Moving on to the next one is the Part A hospice care or co-insurance. Again, everybody covers this except for plans K and L. Okay, that's another percentage point. Skilled nursing. So this is a big one. This is becoming a big area of coverage with Medicare. Now, this is part of the reason why I would not recommend Plan A and B, because Plan A and B do not cover any sort of skilled nursing.
And when we're talking about all of these benefits, these are Medicare covered benefits up until the point Medicare no longer covers them, which means, for example, if you need skilled nursing because you have had a hip replacement, you need inpatient rehab, you have been moved from the hospital to a skilled nursing facility, Medicare is going to cover you up to a certain point. These plans do not cover long-term care. So if you need extended coverage, extended services at skilled nursing, just because you've elected a supplement does not mean you're going to have full coverage for the multiple years that someone might need long-term care. That's a different benefit that is not covered under Medicare.
That is correct. 100 days, Medicare cuts it off at 100 days, so anything over 100 days would be considered long-term.
Perfect.
The next part is the Part A deductible. This is a big one because most people already get Part A free, but if you did not have Part A, you would have to buy Part A, or if you chose the Plan A, you would be paying for Part A. And that Part A deductible is $1,632.
So that's you get admitted to the hospital, you elected your Medicare A and B plus Plan A, you owe $1,632. And this is every individual hospital admittance that is not under the same issue. So you had you had an issue, you were admitted to the hospital, you owe $1,600. You go home 6 months later, you have a different issue, you're admitted to the hospital, you owe another $1,600.
Well, that could be a lot of money racked up for some folks.
Which is why we don't recommend Plan A.
That is correct. Definitely not Plan A. The next piece is what is pretty common to a lot of folks that have a Medicare supplement, the Part B deductible. That's a $240 deductible there. Plan A does not cover that, nor does B, D, K, L, M, and N.
Really, the only one that
or Angie, excuse me.
Right, exactly. There's only a few plans that cover the Part B deductible, which is only $240, and that'll be a conversation point in just a moment when we talk about really comparing a couple of policies for Ethan.
Now, Part B excess charges, okay? So excess charges are where your doctor can bill you up to 15% of the Medicare approved amount.
So let's use a really fast example. Every single service has a price associated with it. Your provider gets to choose that price. However, Medicare says what we're willing to associate that service with has its own Medicare price. So a doctor visit, your neurologist could say it's a $200 doctor visit. Medicare says, actually, neurologist, it's $100. Many of the supplement plans will cover the Part B excess charge. Some of them will not. They will say, okay, neurologist, you can charge 15% more than what Medicare allows, which in this case would be $15. You would owe the provider $15 if the Part B excess charge is not covered for you. Now, Frank, this sounds like it could be a big issue because I used $100 as an example. What if you had a heart replacement and that's $1 million?
Exactly. So there are two plans that do cover the excess charges, the F and G. But for the excess charges, what I've learned is that excess charges are very rare. Only 2% of doctors actually are approved by Medicare to charge excess charges.
So that means if they want any Medicare payments at all, the other 98% cannot charge excess charges.
That is right. That is right. And of that 2%, 40% of those doctors are mental illness doctors. So it's going to be a very rare case that you run into excess charges.
Okay, but it's important to know what you're getting into.
Absolutely. It's important to know what's covered and what's not covered and how it is covered. So the Plan F and the Plan G, they cover the excess charges. None of the other plans cover the excess charges. And we talked about the F last week. F is 100% coverage from top to bottom. The only hole that G has is that $240 deductible. So then the last piece of this puzzle is just foreign travel. Foreign travel is covered at 80% amongst Plan G and Plan N. So getting back to Ethan, okay, when he's asking me about what other plan would I recommend for someone to have other than a Plan G.
Right. So when you're looking at this full list of supplemental plans, you're primarily focused on Plan G being the most coverage available because Plan F is no longer available if you are aging into Medicare, unfortunately. Plan G is the top tier coverage. Then you might also consider a Plan N.
That is right.
Okay.
That is exactly where we're going. So like you said, Plan F, okay, that one got discontinued January 2020. So folks that have came on to Medicare after that have been getting the Plan G. They call that one the Cadillac of the plans.
Got you.
What's been trending lately is folks are seeing how little they actually have to use their plan when they get on them. They think that they're going to get on these plans. They think they're just going to be using them every month, every week, going to the doctor. And they're seeing, hey, maybe I can save a little money by switching to a different plan. Okay. Maybe I can save a little bit of monthly premium, and it'll add up at the end of the year. So let's just take an example of how I broke down Ethan's coverage.
Okay.
Plan G versus Plan N.
Okay.
So we know that the average premium for a Plan G, male age 65, is going to be about $175 a month. That's what you're going to pay the insurance company every single month to have that Plan G, and to get that 100% coverage after you meet that $240 deductible.
Perfect.
Okay, so we got $175 monthly. We have an annual $240 deductible, and that's it. The Plan N, male age 65, St. Louis, is going to average about $150 a month.
So you save $25 a month on premium.
You're saving $25 a month on premium. You still have the $240 deductible because the Plan N does not cover the Part B deductible. That's $240.
Right. You have a small chance of a Part B excess charge potentially.
You have a small excess charge there because the Plan N does not cover excess charges. We know that it is rare. However, that is an area that is not covered by the Plan N.
Right.
And then in addition to that, you also have additional copays on your Plan N as well.
$20 to the primary, it sounds like.
$20 to the primary, $50 for ER, which the $50 can be waived.
If you're admitted to the hospital.
If you are admitted upon admission, that is correct.
Got you. So you save about $300 a year.
Save about $300 a year on the Plan N because, again, the monthly premium, $150 versus the Plan G, $175. Okay. So when we're looking at, okay, should he be on a Plan N? Can he do a Plan N versus a Plan G? What I do is I look at how many times would he have had to go on to an office visit and spend $20 basically every time he goes to an office visit. We're not going to count the 50 because 50 is probably going to be waived.
Right, if you
like
go to
we
the
said,
ER.
exactly. That's probably going to be waived. So how many times would he have had to go to the doctor in order to come out even on a Plan G versus that Plan N?
15 times.
15 times. 15 times. He's saving $300. Okay. And his physician visits are $20. So 300 divided by 20, 15 times to break even. Ethan hardly ever goes to the doctor. I mean, 2, 3, 4 times a year for checkups. I mean,
so he just wants this plan. He wants the supplemental coverage in the event of a catastrophic issue. And he is now saying, well, I don't see the doctor very frequently now, so maybe I'll bank that $300 over time and I'll still have maximum coverage if I'm diagnosed with cancer, I have a stroke, I end up with type 2 diabetes, and I need a higher level of care.
That is right. That is correct. That is correct.
Awesome. So, okay, so even with the supplemental policies, there are quite a few options out there for you to consider. I think, a lot of people get hung up on the insurance company that they select, but just like you talked about at the beginning, all these plans are federally standardized. So that means if you buy Plan G or Plan N from United, from Aetna, from Mutual of Omaha, from Transamerica, they're all identical. So it's really more about what plan you're selecting and what premium the insurance companies are offering. It's really less about which company you choose.
That's right. That's right.
We have a few text questions for you, Frank.
All right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Frank is the reason we stayed with a supplement. So, Frank, can a prescription drug plan change their formulary anytime they want? I have a diabetic medication that looks as if it's not covered any longer. I'm sure I'll be calling you Monday.
All right. Well, I'll be happy to hear from you. They cannot change it anytime they want, but they do get a chance to change it one time throughout the year.
And in this particular instance, if there has been a formulary change, that you'll have the opportunity to help them get a formulary exception.
That is correct. That is correct. We can do like a tier exception or a formulary exception, something like that. So there are always options out there for you. The insurance company should have sent you something notifying you about the formulary change. But if you didn't get that, then that's okay. Give me a call Monday.
All right, we have, this is issue hour. All right.
Let's do it.
We are members of United Healthcare. The app for the over-the-counter items says they were covered, but I got the register and it was not covered. Have you heard of others having this problem?
I have not. That is the first that I've heard. I would recommend maybe trying it online. I know online they have better options, in my opinion, anyway.
And I would say in many cases, just like with the networks, they can't update the physical books as quickly as the doctors are being added to the plan. And this might be a similar issue of technology outpacing the paper. So you just might want to double check online, like Frank said. Or if you're scanning stuff when you're in the Walgreens, if they give it to you for free, they won't make you bring it back.
Exactly.
So,
yeah,
all right.
I know United has that app too, the My UHC app, where you can actually download that app and do all that right on your phone. They make it very easy. So
if
I would recommend doing that.
Right. If you're using the app, then I would say go with the app over the paper register that you received.
Yeah.
So, absolutely. All right. Well, I think, unless we have anyone else with a last-minute text, 84126 from the text line. Frank is always available Monday through Friday in the office, so if you would like to set up a chance to speak to Frank, give our office a call, 314-863-0008, or send Franklin an email, franklin@jblfinancial.com, or you can go to our website and just click on that Contact Us button and say, I want to talk to Frank. On the Plan N, are the copays for specialists $20 also?
Yes.
Okay, so it's physician vision.
That is correct. Any physician, $20. The only thing higher than that is the ER visit, $50.
All right, so I misspoke on that one when I said primary care doctor. So primary care and specialists, all $20 when you want to go visit them. And you'll get you basically get a monthly visit to the doctor in a reduction in your premium.
That's right.
So you can see 12, 15 visits to the physician. Hopefully you're not going that often. You don't want to make it your part-time job in retirement.
Right.
All right, Frank, we really thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
I'm sure we'll see you back in a few weeks. Anyone with questions, keep them coming, and we'll send them on over to Frank to be answered. And with that, I think we'll take our first break of this hour. When we get back, we'll still be here to answer any more of your questions, 84126 or 314-931-5877.
The IRS definitely ramped up operations since the pandemic slowed them down, and activity only increases from here. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. If you're currently under audit or you haven't paid your taxes in the past, now's the time to call the Lance Story Law Firm. The IRS has a published taxpayer bill of rights, which says you have the right to retain legal representation. Because IRS problems are legal problems, and the Land Story Law Firm focuses specifically on addressing IRS issues for our clients. It's all we do. We get out in front of the IRS, devise the best resolution plan, and work to make sure you're able to take advantage of every program you're qualified to receive. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure company, call the Land Story Law Firm. We're local, located right here in St. Louis, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Land Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
This is Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, that you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email, jeff@jblfinancial.com, to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Now, back to Straight Talk on Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
I still love that music.
That's why it's still on the show,
There you go.
I guess.
Welcome back. 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the ever popular KTRS text line.
They heard you. Got a pension question on deck.
I love that you mentioned pension. Let's
Keep
go.
them coming. Our next texter writes, if you had a small pension from a previous employer that you can take at any age between 60 and 65, and the amount increases about $50 per month for each year you delay, this pension has no COLA adjustment. Strictly from an inflation point of view, is taking it at 60 better because of no COLA or delaying so the increases offset inflation?
So you get $600 a year increase. I think my guess is we're going to use one of your dadisms. If you don't need the money, don't pay taxes.
Exactly. And you're looking at an appreciating asset here. So it's really a question of how does this fit into your game plan? There could be reasons to take it. Maybe you don't need the money, honey, but you're right for income purposes, but maybe you need it to help liquidate a loan.
Interesting. That's a good point.
Or fill up your emergency fund.
Mm-hmm. But do you think, I guess it really depends upon
How
what
much
the pension...
salary are you giving up by not taking it? You know what I mean?
Well, it depends on what the pension amount is to know how valuable the $50 a month increase is. You know, if it's a $200 a month pension, that's massive. If it's a $2,000 a month pension, that's not nearly as much.
It's about 2.5%. So, yeah, again, I think we need to do the numbers, but generally, if never pay taxes on money you don't need. I mean, that's probably number one. And number two is, you know, what's the income tax effect going to be on that? Right?
That's right. And we had a request to repeat our contact information. You can always give our office a call, 314-863-0008, or log on to our website, jblfinancial.com. Hit the Contact Us button in the upper right-hand corner, and we will get back to you with your question, your request for a coaching session, whatever you need.
Fabo, we'd love to hear from you. So, assuming that the text line is empty
for the moment,
why don't we get into our next subject of the day?
Can I retire this summer?
Let's talk a little bit about John. John is turning 65 this year and works for a chemical and fertilizer firm. His wife, Judy, 64, has been an administrative assistant for many years and is currently the chief operating officer of the household. They have $1.2 million in retirement assets and $140,000 in savings.
That's great.
Woohoo.
Right.
Right. I'll hold my woohoo till later.
Okay.
So let's talk about where they are. They need $5,500 a month from our discussion in terms of spending that they're doing every month. We always increase that by 20% for federal and state income taxes, meaning that they need about $6,600 a month. So what are their sources?
John has about $2,800 in Social Security.
At normal retirement age, and his wife Judy's spousal benefit is $1,400 a month.
So that means they're short about $2,000 a month, the $2,800 and the $1,400 less the $6,600.
Yes. So their annual deficit running about $24,000 per year. Question becomes, do they have enough capital, enough milk money? Using a 4% prudent withdrawal rate.
We need about a $600,000 lump sum.
And they have
double that.
That means they're at a 2% rate of withdrawal.
That's right.
Whew, I can do that
which
math.
is great. But there are a few wrinkles here. The first one is that, John is 65 this year, but his normal retirement age is 67.
So that means he won't.
He's got 2 years.
And so that also means Judy has 3 years before she can access her full spousal benefit.
Right, because if she decides to take the spousal benefit, two things have to happen. Number one, we know that John has to be taking Social Security for her to be eligible to ask for the spousal benefit instead of going to hers. And then number two is that if she doesn't wait until her age 67, she won't get the full 50% of his benefit. It'll be discounted 8% per each year.
Right, because it's always important to remember, no matter what Social Security benefit you're electing, yours, a spousal, a survivor benefit, it is going to be keyed into the age of the person making the election.
Right, so let's talk about, we know that all the faucets aren't going to be turned on. And this actually was analysis of not being turned on. But let's just say that they don't.
Okay.
If they don't take their Social Security benefits, their pre-tax goal was $6,600 per month. They have no pension. So needing to fully fund that benefit over 12 months for at least 2 years is basically $158,400.
So we take that. So we need to add that to the milk money number. So we're up to $758,000.
That's right. And then we also have another deficit of $1,400 per month because, again, Judy has to wait not 2 years, but 3 years for her benefit.
So that means, we're turning faucets on at different times. John's will turn on 2 years from now when he reaches his normal retirement age.
His wife's 3 years from now.
Exactly. So we got to go a whole other year with less income from their retirement plans, but more income from Social Security.
So we're already at $758,000, just including John's deficit. But when we add Judy's deficit, because she has to add that extra year, we have to pile on almost another $17,000. That brings us to total capital needed until all those faucets are turned on, $775,000.
But they have $1 million too.
There you go.
See?
Rock stars, which is great. So what does that really mean? Well, what it means is they've got the tiger by the tail.
And we didn't even talk about their $140,000 in savings.
But
absolutely.
That's because John and Judy didn't want to touch that. That's their vault.
That's right.
So we don't consider those investable assets.
Right. And we also didn't assume any rate of return on the investments that they currently have either. So I think they're in a kind of a nice place. They can certainly have an opportunity to wait for Judy to elect her Social Security benefits to get that full survivor 50%.
Spousal.
Thank you. Spousal 50% benefit when she returns her normal retirement age. And John also can obviously take his at his normal retirement age in a couple of years. So it's all
also good. The nice thing is because we did the math with them waiting both all the way until their normal retirement ages respectively, if they decide that they would like to turn their benefits on earlier for whatever reason, that just means we know that we'll be taking a little bit more from their retirement accounts on an ongoing basis, which they absolutely have the capacity to do.
Yes, that's right. And what will then happen is that it just makes it happen. And what's nice is they have the flexibility of certainly making some decisions. Yes. And when you have more flexibility and you have more in your decisions, you generally make better ones.
Sure.
That's what we found.
And the other thing that we like to point out about Social Security is this is a decision that you don't have to make many months in advance. In some cases, pension elections require, it could be up to 3 to 4 months in advance in making that election. Whereas with Social Security, as soon as you decide to turn it on, you generally will be able to access your benefit within 2 to 3 months, meaning the checks will be deposited into your bank account of choice within 3 months of actually electing your benefit. So this is something that can happen relatively quickly, which means if something were to change, maybe if someone has a health scare or they decide, hey, we'd like to, just like our texter asked about, taking a pension versus letting it grow, maybe they've come up with, they've purchased a boat. We've heard a lot of boats. They want to take Social Security to pay for their monthly loan amount on the boat. We can always do that.
And they even have enough assets, even if they wanted to stretch that out probably to 70.
Some additional years of letting that benefit grow.
If the bug bites them.
Right. So lots of choices.
Lots of choices. Choices are good.
Choices are good.
Again, our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. Honey, I was going to say one topic I'd like to sort of talk a little bit about this morning is, unfortunately, as financial advisors are and specializing in working with folks that are grown-ups, i.e., close to retirement, already retired. We do occasionally see our clients pass away.
Yes.
It's not unusual to do that. And generally, the beneficiaries would like to think that, in most cases, usually it's a parent, sometimes spouse, are organized, have done some planning for this. If you're working with a financial advisor, that's certainly something that should happen. So it is unusual that our clients will ask, well, Jeff, Aaron, who is the first person I should call? And I would suggest to you that it isn't your lawyer. It's never your accountant. Your doctor probably already knows.
I would hope so.
Exactly. But really, your financial advisor is probably the first person to call. And I would suggest that. For a couple reasons. Number one is that when it comes to do the paperwork, in terms of getting accounts together, gathering the assets, that is the job of the executor, communicating with the various investment insurance companies, etc. Your financial advisor is an expert at doing this. And they're probably the person or persons that you're going to be leaning on to do this anyways.
Because there's paperwork involved in many cases, in almost every single case, especially with insurance companies.
And then a lot of times your financial advisor is going to be like the repository of all that paperwork, the trust agreements, any life insurance agreement. So I know with many of our clients, it's like the one-stop shop. We have everything uploaded to the cloud. So then when these unfortunate things do happen, you don't have to scramble, in the bottom of drawers looking for things because we have them all at the ready. And that's going to save you a lot of time and a lot of anxiety.
Well, and also understanding sort of the timeline and the distributions in terms of distributions and money coming back and forth. Also having discussions with beneficiaries in regard to what their options are in terms of receiving money from these accounts, the beneficiary IRA discussions that we have. It's important for us to know. Mm-hmm. And we had a situation the other day with a client of ours who happened to have been a client of ours for some time. She moved to Florida, and she wasn't married at the time, and passed away, and her sister decided to take the helm. Take
matters into her own hands.
Right. And, there wasn't anything negative that occurred, but what occurred was that, she contacted our LPL. She also contacted a couple of the insurance companies that they were dealing with, et cetera. And so what she didn't realize was
it limits our access to information when you because what we're going to do first is, for example, with an insurance company, we're going to ask them to send the last statement to us and then notify them that they've passed. It could be done on the same phone call, but if we are the second in line in that phone call, somebody already lets the insurance company know that we no longer have access to the information we need readily available, unfortunately.
And also what happens is they literally freeze the accounts. There's no more trading activity that can occur.
Which we wouldn't do anyway.
Well, we're not permitted to, and we wouldn't.
Exactly.
Also, any distributions that should have been, could have been, or would have been made, can't be made.
Correct.
Et cetera. And so that made it difficult. The other thing that was kind of, interesting in the situation was, of course, we asked them, did you contact the Social Security Administration? Because
No.
that's an important thing to do because you have to stop benefits. So because we have experience in doing this, we have a checklist, which we work through with our clients to make sure that everything is kind of put into place. Obviously, getting in touch with the lawyer, getting in touch with the accountant, those are eventually important things, but we're the coaches. I mean, that's really what happens. We end up coaching our clients through these situations and, frankly, gathering and not only the information, but in most cases, doing the paperwork.
And I think the other nice thing is, and I've had this conversation with clients, which is sometimes it's important to notify the attorney, but you don't have to re-engage the attorney because our broker-dealer is large enough. They have their own legal department. We're able to do a lot of things through the broker-dealer that don't create additional expenses for the estate. Your loved one, if they were a client of ours, we're already on their payroll. They're already paying us to do this work for them. We don't have to create any additional expenses because most other professionals charge when you call them.
Yes. And so let me give an example of jumping the gun. In this particular case, our client had been receiving monthly distributions to help her fund her retirement income.
And cover her bills.
Yes. And what happened was her beneficiaries contacted the bank, and the bank said, well, you should close this account.
Oh, no. So that means the money went back.
So they did, right. Exactly. So the monthly money went back. The other thing
didn't get distributed because she had automatic payments out of that account.
Right. And the other thing was, it just made it a little more complicated here because our client was old enough. She was a grown up. 70. She reached, this year is the first year she reached 73. So she was eligible for required minimum distributions. Her monthly distributions did not equal what her required minimum was going to be, so we knew that we were going to have to
make up that difference.
But with authorization from one of the beneficiaries, which didn't happen to be the sister anyway.
Right. And so now, unfortunately, we're forced to have a paper check created and sent to the executor of the estate instead of actually being able to electronically send it because there's no bank account to receive it.
Oh, man.
Kind of Looney Tunes, right? Yeah. So, I mean, the bottom line is that we had a discussion with the beneficiaries, did a Zoom call with them, and obviously offered to do what we normally do, which is what our clients have paid us for. We're going to do the paperwork, shepherd them through the process, et cetera, set up the beneficiary IRAs, make sure that the last RMD distribution is made, et cetera, et cetera. And so contact your financial advisor. The other thing is, and just on the
They're
side,
already on the payroll.
Right.
That's right. They're already on the
Let them do the work.
You're paying them, but let them, like my wife says, do the work.
Well, you're right. And, unfortunately, our client was in Florida, but we do go to funerals.
Sure.
And
if you let us know.
If you let us know. And frankly, we want to because we want to honor you and your beneficiaries.
Well, also, usually we've had a relationship for
many years.
I mean, I know, Dad, you've had relationships with some of our longer-term clients for over 20 years at this point. I've been not meeting with and having new relationships for over 13. So you all become a part of our lives.
Right, exactly. And so, it's nice to be able to meet the beneficiaries before these things happen.
Sure.
Which is fun to do. But certainly we want to honor you and really make sure that your wishes are being fulfilled. So do us a favor, drag us in, get us involved. We love to do that.
And also do us a favor, don't touch that dial because we're going to take our last break of the hour. When we get back, we'll be here to answer your text questions, 314-931-5877 or 84126. We'll be right back.
John Carney and Stefan Sigurdsson talking Allen Roofing and Siding.
I mean, it's beautiful out here, but I didn't understand why you guys would invest and do such an elaborate setup out here when I think people are normally accustomed to a salesperson showing up with a New York City phone book size thing with playing card samples of roofing tiles. Very different deal out here. So do you get a lot of customer traffic in here looking at some of the things you offer in like real size?
We get people that like to come and look at
the samples that we have and walk around and talk to our professionals that, can educate them on the different products that are available. So it's really worked out well for us.
For roofing, siding, and more, it's Allen Roofing and Siding. Online at aroofing.net. That's aroofing.net.
This is Aaron Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email at aaron@jblfinancial.com to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Now, back to Straight Talk on Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, we've got about 10 minutes left on our show. Our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. 314-931-5877. 84126 from the currently filling up text line.
That's right.
And our next texter writes, when you say rock star, what happens with the unforeseen and the unplanned? Do you believe in long-term care?
I do believe. Well, you know what? That's kind of a difficult question because I believe in long-term care, and I know, Dad, you as well. In situations that it makes sense, there are times when a client has accumulated enough assets that they are not in need of long-term care. However, when we're designing retirement plans and our retirement game plans, we're always going to incorporate the addition of long-term care if it's a necessity or a desire of our clients. That's one in terms of how do we fund it? Are you able to access it? Because there are many people out there that want long-term care that unfortunately don't qualify. How do we set aside assets or create a retirement game plan for a spouse being ill? That's all part of working with people in retirement.
Yeah, let me say it a different way if I can.
Okay.
We are not in denial about long-term care expenses.
Certainly not.
And we've had clients in the past, and even family members, our own family members that have been involved in long-term care expenses. So we know they exist. We also know that it's important, just like any other expense, to plan for it and to make some decisions. Whether we pay premiums or we're setting aside assets, or we're not setting aside assets, is really based upon your financial situation, whether you have the ability to do so, whether you can qualify for coverage if it makes sense for you to have it and you want it. Mm-hmm. A lot of ifs in here.
Also, I would say that there's another layer to that, which is in many cases, I would say the majority of people that we see when they have long-term care already in place,
insurance,
a long-term care insurance in place, it's too much.
Right, they overbuy.
Because what we want to do is consider that if you or your spouse, and generally both spouses do not become chronically ill at the same time.
Yes.
Your Social Security benefits aren't going to stop. Your pension, if you have elected one, is not going to stop. Distributions from your retirement accounts, those won't stop either. If we need to increase those distributions because you were, for example, like John and Judy would only be in a need of 2% or less of their overall retirement benefits in order to make their income need work. If we have to increase that by 2%, they're still within a prudent rate of withdrawal. Does that cover over their long-term care expenses? Those are all things that we want to factor in.
It's really, truly just a different algebra problem.
Right.
We have to take in what is the expected cost of long-term care based upon, and usually what we're doing is we're considering skilled care because that's more expensive than home care. Mm-hmm. We're then adding a component in for what is the cost for the non-institutionalized or chronically ill spouse to maintain their lifestyle.
Right.
$2,000-3,000 a month, unless they have a mortgage. And then from that total, as Aaron, you were mentioning, what are the sources that they have? Because we know they're not going to stop. What is that gap? In most cases, that gap is not equal to the
price of long-term care
Right, exactly. What we're really talking about is filling a gap. And so with many of our clients, as Aaron was saying, we're getting rid of inflation riders. We're reducing base costs because we know that they already have enough in capital and that the income flows are going to continue. So assuming you're not in denial about the need for it, we're still going to plan for it.
Sure.
And whether we're using an asset-based solution or an insurance premium or a self-funded solution.
Or a combination of
all three.
Right, or two or whatever.
So we are not in denial about long-term care.
And I would say that that's not usually the unforeseen that comes up with our clients. Obviously, it's a concern that everyone has headed into retirement, but I would say we have a lot of unforeseens that come up that can't be planned for. But we just know that if we are consistent over a long period of time, the number one determinant of if your money will outlive you is if you maintain a consistent rate of withdrawal. And that doesn't mean every year it must be 4% or less, but it means the majority of the years it is 4% or less. That when something unforeseen happens and you need a little extra or a lot extra, it doesn't tip over the apple cart, as you like to say.
Right. And also at the same time, on the other side of this is when we're having good years, which are years in which we're earning more than our withdrawal rate.
We want to bank that.
We're banking that for the purpose of the fact that the market's going up every year.
And also that there's going to be an unforeseen. And sometimes these unforeseen things are what everybody deals with every day. The hot water heater breaks.
It's funny is that we call them unforeseen because we know that stuff's going to happen.
Right.
Because in everybody's situation, it does, whether somebody becomes suddenly ill or Johnny gives a call on the phone saying, Mom or Dad, I need money.
I need help.
I need help, or somebody gets ill, whatever it would be. We know that things are going to happen. So
just don't know when.
Yes. Thank you. Exactly.
How's that saying go? On to every life, a little rain must fall.
It's terrible.
My father used to say that to me all the time when I wasn't getting my way.
Oh, I was going to say, I know your dad, and he's a happy camper. I think you're painting him a little bit.
No, he said it with a smile. On to every life.
Well, imagine if you had to deal with this guy for.
Amazing, he made it through.
Amen to those. Well, that's good. Again, our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. 314-931-5877. In our closing minutes here, 84126 from the text line.
We got another text or two on deck?
We do. Our next texter writes, tax time is right around the corner, and I haven't gotten my taxes together. What happens if I file my taxes late? Well,
you got like 3 days.
Nothing good, but I can tell you that it depends on if you owe the government money or not. If you owe the money,
you want to pay that.
You file an extension.
But you still pay.
Exactly. You pay your estimated amount that you owe.
There can be a penalty if you're filing late and you haven't gotten that extension, and that would be 5% of whatever you owe for every month or partial month that you were delinquent. That's capped at 25%. Now, you can, right? Jeez. That's what I say, and you can file for an abatement if you can show the IRS good cause,
and they believe you,
and they again, if Uncle Joe believes you.
I don't think he reviews each individual return.
I don't know.
No, just tell him you were you were unfortunately reading through the student loan forgiveness legislation and you decided no. It took so long that you just missed tax filing time.
It's nice that they cap it at 25%, but again, you can file for an abatement, and like I said, if they do believe the tale that you're telling, then they can accept your reason and go forward with that. So,
and then just get started a little bit earlier next year.
Yes. You definitely want to be early rather than late when it comes to
because you should have all of your tax documents. I know it sounds a little bit late, but by the beginning of March is when the requirement that all of your tax documents have been released to you. So most people believe it's the end of January, but that's only for retirement plans. If you have after-tax accounts, then what happens is you're a broker-dealer, so the company that is holding the majority of your assets, unless you're directly with a specific fund company, they have to wait to collect all of the information from all of the securities that you hold and then send your 1099 out. So it's a multi-step process for the custodian that's holding your assets, and that's why they have a little bit of extra time.
Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of extra time today, do we?
We don't. But
Well-
what we will have is extra time next week.
We certainly will. So just as a reminder, if you'd love to come and see with Aaron and I for a coaching session, easy to do. Give us a call, 314-863-0008. Again, 314-863-0008. Or go to our website, jblfinancial.com. Click on the Contact Us section. We'll be happy to contact you and set up a coaching session at our wonderful office in Olivet, Missouri. But enjoy the afternoon and have a great week.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.